Welcome back, my poets, to Poetry 101. We are filming at a new angle, trying something new, just trying to catch the natural lighting to make this easier on myself. Today we are talking about making up words, and you may be thinking, Abby, does that really merit an entire video? And my answer is yes, and we will get to why. We're going to bring up two authors I have talked about previously in this series, and one of them is Dr. Seuss, who I talked about during the syllable counts video because children's books have amazing syllable counts, and the second one is Lewis Carroll. We are going to be looking at the Jabberwocky again, which we talked about in our nonsense poetry. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, these don't look like they did when I first watched this video, it's because I've changed half of the cover images because I'm a YouTuber and I can. And you can quote me on that. Today, nonsense words. We are going to start by talking about Dr. Seuss. Fun fact of the day, the word nerd was made up by Dr. Seuss. And it is now a part of our lexicon in our dictionaries. And that is absolutely wild. Dr. Seuss also notably has made up a bunch of other words. For an example, in his ABCs book, he says the zizzers, zazzers, zuzz. That's not a real animal. Neither is a wocket. And if it did exist, I doubt it could fit in your pocket. Fun fact that makes me angry thinking about it. The wocket in the pocket, not a part of the book, only on the cover. Have that for snack. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Other words made by Dr. Seuss have been popularized. Like you say truffula tree, you're thinking of a cotton candy type tree with like the fluff. You've probably seen the Lorax movie, 2012. There's certain words like you can say truffula tree and like, okay, got it. Or something fish. And you're like, okay, it's a fish. And this is the general idea that I have for it. Sometimes the pictures in the book help you have that certain image in your head. Sometimes though, you do not need a picture in order to have that image in your head, which is where we get to the Jabberwocky. Now, if you remember from my nonsense poem video, I did a slight breakdown of the Jabberwocky. In the story, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, she does learn from another character, oh, well, this means that, and this means that, and it's still nonsense. Like, if you read it with its translation, it's still nonsense. It's just kind of painting a better picture. I'm actually going to read from the second stanza to see if we can pick apart some of these nonsensical words and see what comes to mind when we read it. He took his vorpal sword in hands. Long time the mandsome foe he sought, so rested he by the tum-tum tree and stood a while in thought. Okay, so he takes his sword, it's in his hand. There was a foe he thought he sought, a villain of some sort. We get the word manxome, which I cannot pronounce properly. And he rests by a tum-tum tree. Now, tum-tum tree for me is just truffula tree because that's the tree that I think of when I think of fictional trees. It also says he stood in elfish thought. What does that mean? For me, I'm thinking like intense, but like also it's a little bit foggy. It also goes through the tulgey wood and burbled as it came. Now burbled, you're kind of thinking kind of gurgly-ish because burble makes you think gurgle. Let's see. The vorpal blade went snicker snack. That is me thinking that the blade is cut through bones. The Jabberwock is kind of like this dragon-like creature. That's typically how it's depicted. There's a lot of nonsense in here, yet we are able to piece apart a story. Because again, if you know the story of the Jabberwocky, it is this guy's dad is like, go slay the Jabberwock, my son. And so he goes and he waits and has his sword and he slays the Jabberwock, and the Jabberwock is dead. It is not the Jabberwocky. Jabberwocky is the poem, Jabberwock is the creature, Frankenstein is the doctor, Frankenstein's monster is the creature. Are we caught up now? Beamish boy, my beamish boy. See beamish, I'm like, bright sun. It has beams, like gold. There's worth there, my beamish boy. We also have frabjous day. It's still nonsense. But because there's an exclamation mark, we know it's kind of joyous. I think frabjous, I think joyous. And we got Calloo Calais, which is kind of like whoop whoop, but in Wonderlandese. So, Abby, how do we use making up words in our poem? Thank you, I'm so glad you asked. A, you don't have a rhyme. You know what word you want there, but that word doesn't fit there. You can think of a word that rhymes, but it's not in the context that you want. Take the two words, hodgepodge them together. New word that has the origin of the word you want, but the ending of the word you need. Make stuff up. There are no rules when it comes to poetry. Making up words also can help you paint a specific picture. Let's say it's a child. If a child is talking, it is from the perspective of a child. Use the wrong word. My favorite wrong word, other than paschetti for spaghetti, is processional. That is a word. It is not the right word. I'm trying to say professional. That was very unprocessional. is one of my favorite things to say. I got that from a Studio C video.
Sorry, that was unprofessional.
So using the wrong words, made up words, mashing words together with origins of words you do know, or just making up something that gives the right thought. It paints the right picture of a word without actually being a real word. And that is the fun of making up words for poems. If you want to watch more, I have them over here in a playlist. You can subscribe over here. Check out my Instagram at @officialjustinstrikes. I'm a writer. I have just released my most recent book, Aria Dalton Didn't Sign Up for This. It's about a girl with superpowers fighting her first villain. I am very proud of this book, and not a lot of people have bought it. So if you would like to buy it, it is on lulu.com. I'll see you next week.